J'aime la vie, j'aime le soleil. Je regarde les fleurs bleues. Soleil. J'aime la vie, j'aime le soleil. Je regarde les fleurs bleues. Soleil.
Un petit insecte rose. Ne t'en va pas, petite coccinelle. Reste près de moi. La coccinelle.
How we came here, what was interesting to me in ARTISTERIUM. Do you find it interesting to participate in this, and why?
Well, I think, yeah, we were drawn particularly to the Silk Museum as a space. The history that silk plays in Georgian economic, in sort of the global textile industry right now is a theme that comes up in both of the projects that Liz and I are doing here. And so when we came to the Silk Museum, actually we were both sort of enchanted by it as a space, as a piece of Georgian history, but also as a site for thinking about the kinds of work that we do.
Okay. Both of you, please briefly explain your work or representative.
Great.
Okay, I'll start with mine. My video is an installation that I first created in 2006. It's called Dressing Room, and it's projected into a corner with one projection of myself and the other of my reflection in the mirror. And I'm in a small dressing room in a clothing store, and I'm trying on dress after dress after dress for a long time. So anytime you may come in to see it and might be trying on different dresses, it just seems like an endless process. And when I made it, I was very interested in the social, psychological space of the dressing room and why we go there, what this is, this habit, how much time we spend doing it, especially women, and why it seems to hold so much meaning and be so compelling a process. And so I was interested in that. What happens when we go in there, the hopes and fears and anxieties and expectations that we bring in, and then how it serves as a kind of testing ground and a place where there's this work of searching and perhaps not eventually finding. And then I was very happy to show this work with Anne's because I think it puts it in this larger context that also links it to the production process and the people who are laboring in the production of the textiles and garments.
Who are also mostly women. And so this project actually comes directly out of some work that I've done in journalism in the Cambodian garment factories, working with young women who largely uphold the way that clothes are produced and then disseminated around the world, but who then don't get to participate in sort of the end of the process that Liz's video shows, and yet still are contributing in this enormous way to the economic development of Cambodia and then also sort of the process of globalization around the world. And so for this project, which was started in, I filmed this video in Leipzig at the Spinnerei, which is a space that used to be a textile factory. But then when the wall fell, they ceased production entirely and they actually started importing garments from places like Southeast Asia and Cambodia. And so realizing that the women that I'd been working with in Cambodia had a direct sort of influence and impact on the space that I was working in gave me a way of thinking through how to start talking about globalization as one person, and the idea of sort of de-threading it and getting to the heart of it contributed to this idea that I would tear apart a pair of jeans by hand, which is exactly what I'm doing there, which was a process that took about 2 weeks, and it resulted in originally a 10-hour video that mimics the Cambodian garment workers' workday, broken up into the standard 8-hour workday and 2 hours of mandatory overtime. But then made a shorter version for this piece so that they were all sort of consumable in the same period of time. And this is an hour-long version of that.
You collaborate first time now with PDC, or?
Not exactly. We met a few years ago, and that started a dialogue about our work and other concerns and questions. And so we've been talking to each other for the last few years, not collaborating, making work directly together, but in dialogue. And then we have participated in some things together, and when we were in Germany last summer, we put a show together.
2006 and 2010.
Yes.
Well, I do want to respond to the House of Cards video because there's two things that are going on there. And one is that a piece of global media is made to create an advertising entity for more globalization projects to continue. Problem, but the bigger problem I think in that, especially in this context, is that women are entirely left out of that conversation. And women are upholding this industry, and they're also purchasing and driving the fashion decisions that drive the industry. And so it's a mess. So thank you for bringing it up. But why we wanted to participate in this space together, maybe I should let you.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've started to suggest some of those reasons already, and I don't want to speak for you, but I don't think that either video is a response to the other directly, but that we recognize, and actually this summer was really the first time that we thought about these two works, you know, in conversation, and we realized that they are looking at some of the same issues from different perspectives, and that it would maybe be interesting to put them together and broaden that conversation, broaden that dialogue, and to do it in Tbilisi at the Silk Museum, you know, add
Which
something.
is, yes, I mean, let's face it, there's a global economic crisis, but Georgia in particular requires some sort of new industry or something to emerge, and that, you know, many people then look to the textile manufacturing industry immediately as a way of bringing in new income, is really problematic, which is sort of what the futility of the taking apart the pair of jeans is about. And yet it's so appealing, it's so necessary to how we think about ourselves and the kinds of people we want to be, especially as we're, you know, considering becoming globalized citizens or considering joining the EU or whatever it is. So setting up that conversation has been really great.
You work, your more, I think, is based on social or your true, maybe political basis. You know? Maybe feminist issue. Do you consider it as feminist issue?
I do not. I consider...
Because what I want to ask you, is this thing, how to say, is still relevant today in America? Because in Georgia, yes.
Which part would be relevant in America?
Feminist side of the...
Yeah. So because I work globally, and I do a lot of work in Cambodia where feminism has a different context, and it also, when you're struggling for women's human rights, it's really difficult to position that as something where the presumption is that there is some sort of equality in the first place when you start talking about feminism. And when you actually don't have human rights, then it's really hard to think about having feminist issues with that. And so I actually consider myself sort of playing a role in the women's rights struggles, but not necessarily in the feminism struggles, but don't really have a problem that my work gets